Hey you guys, welcome back to Cohron's in the Chaos. It's Danielle here, and I am here to bring you a sit-down storytime video dedicated to our angel baby, Bentley Blake Cohron. I am going to give you the whole spill, the whole journey start to end, okay? If I get emotional, please forgive me. He would be 7 years old today, and it still stings. It still stings just like it does the day I left the hospital without my son. It hurts. Child death is major. It's painful. It's erratic. It's full of emotions. It's a lot of different things. And death period is hard, but when it's somebody close to you, especially your child, it's very, very, very hard. Very hard. And especially when you didn't really get to live a life outside of a hospital with your child. And when you were home with that child, you were so scared to do anything because you didn't want to jeopardize that child of getting sick or something happening and having to go back to the hospital or a tube getting ripped out, and just so much went into taking care of Bentley full time. So starting out, I had a great pregnancy. Everything went normal. I had a C-section, and that was because I had had a previous C-section with Serenity, my oldest daughter. So we went ahead and did a C-section with Bentley, and everything went great. He was born August 9th at around 10:15 p.m. and it was awesome. He was born on my daddy's birthday, and it was a race between Blake's dad, my dad, or Blake's Uncle Sean. Bentley could have been born on all three of their birthdays, so it was kind of a whose birthday is he going to be born on, and it ended up being my daddy's. And to me, that was just in itself special. I'm all about alignments and frequencies. I'm into those things. Like, your intuition doesn't lie. Your gut doesn't lie. So I'm into those kind of things. So him being born on my dad's birthday was like so special, so crazy to me. I loved it. It was my dad's first grandson, and biologically, obviously, and it was just amazing. So we get our hospital stay done and discharged per usual. No extra stay, no extra testings. We did notice that there was some jaundice, but nothing severe. He didn't have to go under any lights or anything like that. Like, it wasn't that bad, but jaundice was there. So that was the first thing that I noticed with my son. So with that being said, we went a whole month, and on his 1 month checkup, so that whole month I was noticing little things, like his stools weren't how they should be, he wasn't urinating as he should be, he wasn't eating as he should be, he wasn't getting the correct calories a day as he should be, and he was becoming distended on his stomach. And on the side of your stomach where your liver is, you could literally run your hand down and feel his liver bulging out of the side of his stomach. So right away, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. We went to his 1 month appointment, and I went over everything with his doctor. Mind you, within the month, we had been talking to his doctor, and had went to her a couple of times. She wasn't hearing me out like I felt she should have been. She wasn't listening to what I was saying, and I knew my intuition, my mama gut was not lying to me. Something was really wrong with my son, and I needed help, and I needed help now. Time was of the essence, literally. I, honest to God, believe to this day, and I don't blame a person, because everything happens for a reason. But I honest to God believe that if that pediatrician would have listened to me as his mom, he still might have had a chance. He still could have had a chance, because we could have caught it quicker, faster, and got on it way before we did. We went a whole month with this disease and not treating it because of our pediatrician. And I will never, ever recommend her. She is known in this little town that I live in of Weatherford, Texas, and I despise her. I despise her. So anyways, we got to that 1 month appointment, and of course, like I said, jaundice was there. It was still outrageous. I had done everything in the books to try to get his jaundice to go away, and it just wasn't going away. Then the distension of his stomach, and then his liver obviously bulging. So at that appointment, we were told to immediately go to Cook's Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas, which is about a 30 to 40 minute drive away from my house. So me and my husband packed up our bags, left our children with Blake's parents, who were probably some of our biggest supporters through that time. Not probably, they were our biggest supporters when it came down to our other kids and us, and decision making and planning and doing, and I'll just get into some of that. So we left the kids with Blake's parents, Jen and Terry, and we headed on to the hospital. And when we got to that hospital, we immediately got back and we were seen. And I'm so sorry, you guys. I promised and prayed to myself, please don't cry, but it's so hard. It's still so hard. So when we get there, they get him back and they hook him up to all this stuff and start running all these tests to try to see what's going on. You know, they're thinking spina bifida, they're thinking meningitis, they're thinking cancer, they're thinking all these things. Well, they finally narrow it down after day 3 of being there. They narrowed everything down, and there were 3 scenarios that it could be. And the first 2 were like what we wanted it to be, and the last one was biliary atresia, and that's what we did not want. So on day 3, when we got our diagnosis, I knew it wasn't going to be good by the look on the doctor's face when he walked in. He wasn't happy-go-lucky. He wasn't proud to tell us good news. He wasn't in that mood. The vibe was really ugh. So he let us know that our son did have biliary atresia, and that was the worst case scenario for our child. And it would basically be a lifelong fight. For the rest of his life, he would have issues, and I was fine with that. I didn't care what I had to do. If my son was born a vegetable, I would have kept him. I didn't care. I just wanted my baby to live. I just wanted him to live. And we fought so hard for that. But so we get our diagnosis, and he has biliary atresia. And with biliary atresia, it's a harsh liver disease, and it slowly deteriorates your liver. And mind you, you need your liver. It filters out all the toxins in your body, and so on and so forth. So they went ahead 2 days after our diagnosis, went in and did a Kasai procedure. It is a surgery, and they go down the middle of your stomach and then curve it over to your liver. They did that Kasai procedure in place of buying Bentley some time with his liver. So this Kasai they were supposed to go in, do some things, and it was going to buy Bentley some time until we could get on the transplant list. Getting on the transplant list was absolutely erratic. It was hard. It was insane. I could not believe it was that hard to get my son on a transplant list, and so much went into that transplant list. At the very end, it was just hectic. I'll get into that at the very end. So he gets his Kasai procedure, and we're told that he has a 50-50 chance of this procedure working. Within 2 weeks, it started failing. Within 2 weeks, it was failing. My son looked like an Ethiopian out of Africa. He had lost all his weight. He was down to skin and bones. And they started giving him lipids and something else I can't remember to try to get his calories and meat back on his bones. He was down to nothing. And it was so hard seeing him like that. Mind you, I lived there every day. I never left my son but twice in 9 months. And the last time I left him, I regret it. We get through the Kasai and it starts failing, and I knew Bentley was worsening. I knew he was getting worse. I could just see it. I know it's kind of vulgar, but he started throwing up blood. He started stooling blood. And all these things go into factoring into getting this liver transplant. We needed a liver. If we could have got a perfect liver match, my son would still be here. My son would be here, and he didn't get one. So we're not getting nowhere with cooks. We're gonna have to go to a bigger hospital where they can do more for Bentley and do more treatments and try to buy him a little bit more time until we can get on the transplant list. Cooks didn't do liver transplants, so we had to go to Children's Dallas in Dallas, Texas, which was an hour and some change away from the house, and that's where I lived until he passed away. I was there with him every day except one day. I left one day at Cook's and one day at Children's Dallas. So we get to Children's Dallas and they are able to do more. So with the worsening of his disease, he is deteriorating. My baby is deteriorating in front of my eyes, and he loved Curious George. That's what we went to bed to every single night. He loved Curious George. His Papa Terry has a Curious George tattooed with Bentley's name and dates on his forearm, and I love it. But he loved Curious George, so I had just put Curious George on and he had just fell asleep. So I had walked downstairs and wanted to get some fresh air. And I remember calling my mother-in-law, Jen, and telling her, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I feel like these people are failing me and my son. And I feel like he's dying in front of my eyes. He's dying in front of my eyes. I can see it. As a mom, he's dying. If I don't do something now, he's gonna die. And she, tries to get me together and, don't freak out. God's got this and it'll be okay. So we make it through the night, and we were there for 6 months at Children's Dallas, and they were amazing to us. I love them. And you're on here. I love you. Shout out to you. Katrina, Brooke, all of y'all, Taylor Brown, y'all were amazing. I love y'all, and y'all were my baby's besties. Y'all were family. D8 at Children's Dallas is the bomb. I'll never, ever, ever forget them. They'll always hold a special place in my heart. We get there and things are still just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And instead of every week we're having episodes of him throwing up blood or stooling blood, it's every couple days. And my baby's getting more jaundice. There was a few times where we had to go to ICU because his ammonia levels got so high that it interfered with his brain reaction and he was just out of it. So we spent a lot of time in ICU. And we finally got put on the transplant list. A few of the things like him stooling blood, throwing up blood, stuff like that. A lot of factors went into bumping him up on the transplant list. So he was bumped up to one of the highest children on the transplant list at Children's Dallas. There came a day, and I'll never, ever, ever forget it, because it was almost a day that changed our entire lives. But we got a call at like 9 o'clock one night, and it was a liver, and it was on its way to Children's Dallas for Bentley Blake. And if it was a perfect match, he would be going into a liver transplant the next day. They got him all ready for the OR. We prepped that night, we prepped that day. We called in all of our friends and family that day of the transplant and just prayed and hoped that that was going to be the change that we had been praying for so long. And we get back there and everything is ready to go, you guys. Everything is ready to go. Set in stone, go. The liver gets there, off the plane, they get it. And it's not a match. It's not a perfect match because one valve did not match Bentley's liver valve. So that day, right then, I lost faith. I lost faith for a minute. I lost myself. I became very mad, hurt, upset. I was just in denial, and I was just begging and pleading and asking God, why? Why this perfect, innocent little baby? Why? But there's a reason to everything. I promise you. Through the hardest days, God got me through them. God got me through them. My family and God got me through some of the hardest days of my entire life. That day passed and it wasn't the right match. We all kind of just were bummed. Lake's grandparents, his Meemaw and Pawpaw, my Meemaw and Pawpaw. Pawpaw's now in heaven with Bentley too. We lost him this year and that was very tragic as well. But Meemaw and Pawpaw went and stayed the day with Bentley while Blake and I took the big kids out for Halloween, and he did great. Another time, a few months down the line, where Jen and Terry, my in-laws, Blake's parents, stayed the night with him so I could go home with the big kids and Blake for a night. They wanted to give us a break and just let us go home. And that's the night I regret. That's the night my son started bleeding profusely. They had to put a balloon in my son's throat to stop all the bleeding. They had to do so much to save my son's life. Just in that moment, watching everything, it was so hard watching all these doctors and blood bags come in for blood infusions, and it was a lot. And after that night, Bentley really never woke up again. I never really seen my son's eyes open again after that bad spell. We kind of knew the time was nearing. These doctors weren't working in a way that we needed them to. We needed something fast. We needed something now. And we kept telling them this, and it's not just like, here's this, do it. You know, you have to have certain things. I mean, it's a liver. It's an important organ to the body. You need it to live. And he was failed. He didn't get his liver. And it still stings to this day. I remember the day that he passed away. He was on life support. He was on life support for almost 2 weeks, and the doctors are telling me that there was basically this bottom back part of his brain was dead, and that was the part of your brain that tells you to breathe. So we knew Bentley had no life left, and we knew that we had to bring our family and our babies in and tell them the most devastating news. The news that we all prayed
not to come, but I could not have Cameron and Serenity in the room on Bentley's last day. I wanted them to have happy memories of their brother. I did. So judge me or not, but no, I did not let my kids in the room on the day that we pulled the life support plug on my son. And I didn't let them come in afterwards and see him dead. They did handprints and footprints and put it on a canvas for me, and I love it. It hangs in my living room. And my grandma Debbie got us a big canvas with his picture on it, and we did a pretty memorial, and we got him cremated and brought him home with us. I remember leaving the hospital the day he passed away, and the kids were with us. The whole family was up there. Them asking me, why isn't Bentley coming home with us? And I told them that, you know, Daddy and I would talk about it when we got home. There was some really important things that we needed to talk about, and we kind of left it at that. It was kind of a quiet ride home. We got home, we brought the big kids to the bedroom, and at the time Cameron was 6 and Serenity was like 4. So imagine telling a 4 and a 6-year-old that their baby brother has died and is not coming home. And it was a very hard conversation, and we answered some very hard questions, but we answered them as honest as possible for our babies. And we still do to this day. Just like Brylan having my rainbow baby, I found out I was pregnant with Brylan less than a month before Bentley passed away. I remember taking the pregnancy test in the hospital room, and I remember being so devastated that I was pregnant with another kid while my child was in the hospital bed fighting for his last breath. And that did something to me from that day on. Like, I'm a true, like, die-hard Southern Baptist, and we don't believe in abortions. I'm pro-life, I'm pro-choice. But in that moment, I was so low and so stressed out, Bentley, that I was willing to go aboard this child that I found out I was pregnant with. And I remember me and Blake calling his parents that night and telling them we're pregnant and we're right here in the middle of Dallas. I can go 10 minutes down the road and get an abortion. I don't think I can carry this baby and be okay. And they're the same way. They're diehard Southern Baptist Christians, and they straight up told Blake and I, no, you're not gonna abort the baby. We will do everything we can to help y'all. We'll take care of the kids. We'll make sure everything at home's okay. Y'all just put all y'all's effort into Bentley, and we'll deal with the new baby when the time comes. So we ended up keeping Brylan Bentley. Like I said, him and Bentley are only a year apart. And he is my literal saving grace. He has got me through so much. If it wasn't for Brylan, I don't know if I could have made it through a lot of my days. A lot of my days were depressing and dark and hard. And still to this day, as you see real emotions coming out as a mama that lost her baby, it hurts. And it still hurts my kids. They talk about him. Brylan, that doesn't even know him, never even met him, has this weird connection with him. Like, he knows his brother. Like, he's a spitting image of Bentley with blonde hair. And I'm so blessed that God arranged all the things that he did in my life the way he did. If you're going through something hard, pray about it. Pray about it. Get on your knees and you pray. You pray. Because the man above is above all. And prayers do get answered. They may not be answered on your time, but they are on His time. On God's time, they will be answered. The journey may be hard and you may be questioning why you. But in the end, you will know the reason. You will see the reason and you'll understand why. I now see why. There's still questions and what ifs, but you can't live with that. You can't live with the what ifs. You can't live with the regrets. You gotta live in the memories and the love and the abundance of time and love and energy that was spent with our sweet baby boy. The 9 months that we did have with them, he wasn't home a lot, but we did make the best of what we could with him. You know, we would get him out of his hospital room and take him for a ride, or go to the playroom, or go to Starbucks, and we just did all kinds of things together to make his life as normal as possible while he was in the hospital. And when he was at home, he was surrounded by family, of course, and always loved on. But it was just a really hard time in our lives, and it really changed my life forever. Blake's life forever. We now have PTSD, obviously, major depression and anxiety. So if anything happens to our children, we freak out. We freak out. We think the worst. We think the worst, you guys. So it's really put a lot of things into perspective for us. We understand how short life can be, how fast life can go. We just want to bring awareness to the green ribbon. I will forever keep his memory alive, and I will forever and ever and ever keep him known. So with that being said, you guys, I'm sorry for all the emotions. It's real, it's raw over here. What you see is what you get. But I've been wanting to do a little story time on Bentley for a while now, just to let you guys in on kind of what the deal is with that and how it went with him and his fight with Biliary Atresia. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for being here. We love you guys. We hope you stick around. Hit the like button, subscribe, show us some love in the comments, and don't forget to stick around for the next video. All right, you guys, see you in the next one. Bye.